TMZ Live. There is something that does not make sense about Hulk Hogan's death. And the focus, as far as we're concerned, is the police department.
Right, and what they are now calling a death investigation. And there's a phrase in the news biz where you say something just doesn't pass the smell test.
It doesn't. So this is a situation where when he died, we broke the story, and what we were told was he stopped breathing. And what it seemed like it was a heart attack.
Right.
So end of story, right? They didn't do an autopsy.
Which also makes you think end of story, because they didn't do an autopsy.
Right.
It must have been a heart attack.
And so
R.I.P. and
a little time passes. Brooke Hogan starts raising questions. Why wasn't there an autopsy? She started raising questions about the way in which he died. And then we found out that the phrenic nerve, and that we know this because there was an occupational therapist who was at Hulk's house. Hulk was sitting in a chair when he stopped breathing. There was an occupational therapist there at the time. He told the police that the reason he died was that Hulk had had a recent operation, and they accidentally severed the phrenic nerve, which is connected to the diaphragm, which controls breathing.
Right. It's connected from your brain to your diaphragm. It's how you breathe. And if that's damaged, obviously, you know what could happen. It now makes sense why Brooke said, now that we know it's in this police report, that's where we found out about this phrenic nerve. And the occupational therapist who said this. But remember, a couple of days ago, Brooke posted something where she said, there's information that will change the narrative around my father's death. And we kept going, narrative? Because there's no narrative. Like, he had a heart attack. That's what we all believe.
So we start calling the police. Yeah. And our inside information there is that these stories that we've been doing has caused a stir at the police department. I don't know when they opened this death investigation, but it's been weeks since Hulk died.
When they started calling it a death investigation.
But the big deal is this, that we call the medical examiner. And the medical examiner said, we said, why didn't you do an autopsy? The medical examiner said, we don't do an autopsy unless the police tell us that it was something other than a natural death. And we were told that the medical examiner never even knew about the phrenic nerve being severed. So they said, well, we were never told this. So we're calling the police back, and we're asking the police I mean, literally 15 minutes ago, you know, I made a call, and so has our sports department. Nobody's heard back from them. I mean, other than saying, we stick by our original statement, but the original statement said nothing about...
about the phrenic nerve or about this statement that was made by the occupational therapist. If the police know, and we're told that this occupational therapist is on body cam speaking to people in the room about the phrenic nerve. So the police heard this conversation. They're aware that someone on the scene said that there was a nerve damaged in Hulk's body that would cause him to stop breathing.
Not only told that, they wrote it in the police report.
Why isn't there an investigation?
Well, now there is an investigation, but there wasn't an autopsy. It turns out...
How is that not part of the investigation is my point.
Now, his wife, Sky, did do an autopsy, we're told.
She independently had an autopsy. We don't know what the... Hold on, there's one other thing. Guys, are you guys aware of the opioid claim?
Yes, very much so, yeah.
Okay, so this is Bubba talking about...
Bubba the Love Sponge, yeah.
Bubba the Love Sponge, which we explained is one of Hulk's best friends.
Yeah, longtime best friend, at the center of the scandal regarding the sex tape. He went on his radio show this morning, or yesterday morning, and basically explained that he believes that Hulk was addicted to opioids, and believes that at the time of his death, he's concerned that maybe Hulk possibly OD'd on opioids.
I have spoken to people connected with that family who have told me that this has been an ongoing problem with Hulk because he had so many surgeries, and I was told that there were points in his life where he got addicted and wanted to get off them, but went on and off. So that raises a whole other issue in terms of a death investigation that were opioids contributing to him stopping breathing.
And the only way to find that out is to get
an autopsy.
Right. So Sky had this autopsy done independently. She told us yesterday she doesn't have the results yet.
She intimated that there's no results yet, or that she has the results, but she doesn't quite understand them.
I think it's that. I think it's that.
Again, the joke she used was, "I'm an accountant. I don't know how to read these kind of deals." So who knows what the autopsy says currently? But she says she will release them at some point. But she wants the totality of it all before she.
So I mean, that's at least they did an autopsy, but it doesn't answer why the authorities treated it this way. And so now you've got the phrenic nerve, which we know they knew about. You've got these, they're not allegations. I mean, I spoke to somebody who was in a position to know this and talked to Hulk about it. And they talked about the opioid issue and how he wanted to kick it, after various surgeries. And so why wasn't there an autopsy? And the bigger question, why are we not getting any calls back? From multiple, how many times did you call the police yesterday?
Man, at least a dozen, maybe, roughly, somewhere around there. It's double digits.
And I've called half a dozen.
Week. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know why. What are they investigating? Because they ruled it natural causes already, correct? Because that's what the ME is saying. The ME won't do it.
But see, that's the thing. They're saying it's natural causes, but if they say that, why is there a death investigation?
Then there shouldn't be an investigation, correct? Because you've already ruled it as natural causes.
And I don't want to overplay this because sometimes they do it this way.
Yeah.
But the detective who is in charge of this is part of the homicide division. Right. Now, we're not saying it's a murder or anything like that, but they're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
They just won't explain it.
I'm Ty Wilson in Denver, Colorado, and it's hard to believe that Hulk Hogan could have passed away from a small mistake like this. But beyond that, I think it's more interesting to hear that the family is claiming these medical malpractice theories or talking about them, and they have an autopsy, but they're not sharing the results. It makes me wonder, are they going to take this to court? And what exactly might those legal battles look like in the future if they do?
Diddy is not going to get a new trial, and he is not going to have his Mann Act convictions tossed out. At least if the prosecutors have anything to say about it, and they do get a word.
So
but the judge will ultimately get the word.
So Diddy already asked the judge to dismiss the case and/or order a new trial.
Just on the Mann Act.
On the Mann Act, because remember, the Mann Act is taking a prostitute across state lines for sexual purposes. And what he's saying is, look, I was the videographer of people having sex.
He's essentially saying
I was a porn director.
Right.
And that's not what the Mann Act is about.
Well, prosecutors have a much different view, as you'd expect of this. And they said that this whole thing that he was directing or producing porn doesn't hold up because he never told anybody that he was recording, or very few people.
That's not true.
That he was recording.
They knew he was recording.
No.
He wasn't secretly recording.
He was not secretly.
When he tried to start recording, they objected to him recording. So he didn't hide a camera. You're absolutely right about that. But Cassie testified.
No, but
that,
there's
of
video.
course, I never wanted people to see this. It was gross.
No, but she was
humiliating.
talking about distributing, Derek, not recording it. She was talking about distributing it.
No.
You're
No,
wrong.
she said, I don't want
the-
people to see it.
Right.
So why does it need to be recorded?
Regardless of Cassie.
People do it for their own purposes, and they don't release it.
But they asked her, and she said she didn't. She felt
The
humiliated.
prosecutor said that many of the sex workers never consented, never said, okay, yes, I want you. They never signed anything. It's not.
And to Diddy's credit, he would turn off the camera when they said that.
By the way, this is a real technical point. There's not a signature when there's a tripod and a camera.
There are other things, right? The other thing that he was saying is that I didn't have sex with them. I didn't arrange their travel. It was the women who were having sex with them. So they're the ones who violated the Mann Act,
But even
not
you
me.
know this is preposterous because bringing a prostitute, paying someone for the purposes of sex is not paying them to have sex with them yourself. It's just getting sexual gratification. And he sat on the sidelines and watched the escorts have sex with Cassie. He paid them to have sex, not with him, but to have sex.
Here's the deal.
Yeah, for his gratification.
Diddy is going to lose this. This is done just to preserve appeal, which is going to happen.
Yep.
And the reality
The
to
appeal is not going to work either, right?
There's no chance on either.
No.
He should be happy about
Although
just the
people
Mann
said that
Act.
about Cosby. So,
Fair.
that
was a different idea.
But
yeah.
the bottom line here is this, that if it were just the Mann Act, prosecutors never would have filed this case. because nobody is going to file a Mann Act case in
Sure.
2025.
Sure.
They
You don't
wanted to
get to go-
get him
Here's
on
where
the
I
other.
agree with you completely. There's no way they would have just brought the Mann Act, so there's something unsatisfying that all they got was the fallback conviction. All they ended up getting was
So
the
this is
one
what-
tiny conviction, and they missed out on the RICO and the sex trafficking.
And this is what it's about now. Basically, going into the bedroom, you're shooting video.
Yes.
And that's the yucky part of
That's
this.
the bedroom policing part. When you read these documents, you're like, are federal prosecutors really this in on
Okay.
the bedroom?
But now he's still got to be convicted for it.
Hi, this is Kim's Corner, CEO from South Carolina. Can you blame Diddy? I mean, you can't keep a man from trying to get home. I think the prosecution and the judge, they're feeling some kind of way because it's like, okay, you're continuously trying every tactic, every method, from talking about the conditions of the jail, from you're speaking indirectly from jail, you know, posting on social media, so many things, and it's just like, okay, you have to sit and wait until October.
Your place must be lit on Halloween.
I have a question. What kind of music do you make? You're an artist, obviously,
I'm
right?
not an artist.
You got
my
a keyboard
spouse
behind
is a
you?
musician. Yeah.
And the guitars? No, you're not an artist? Okay.
I'm not an artist. My spouse is, so yeah.
All right. There's an artist in the house.
But I love the walls.
Cute.